I thought I knew my husband. I thought our daughter was safe in her own bed. But every single night, after I fell asleep, he would wait in the darkness, listening for my breathing to slow. Then he would quietly open her door and step inside. When I finally saw what he was doing to our 8-year-old baby girl, my entire world shattered into a million pieces. If you have ever felt that sick, hollow feeling when someone you love with everything betrays your trust in the worst possible way, this story is going to hit you real hard. Before we begin, please hit that like button, turn on the notification bell, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on any of my revenge stories, because what I am about to share with you needs to be heard. This is about justice, protecting the innocent, and revenge. Please don't forget to drop a comment telling me your thoughts about this story, and where you are listening to my revenge story from. I like to know where you are supporting me from. Thank you for your support. It means a lot to me. My name is Sarah, and for 8 years I thought I was living a normal and happy life. My husband James and I met in college. He was studying business, I was studying nursing. He had this warm smile that made everyone around him feel comfortable and safe. When we got married 5 years later, I genuinely believed I had found my person. The man who would protect our family. The man who would be a loving father to our children. Our daughter Emma was born 2 years after our wedding. She came into this world with big brown eyes and the sweetest giggle I had ever heard. From the moment I held her tiny body against my chest in that hospital room, I promised myself I would protect her from everything bad in this world. I would be the mother who noticed things. The mother who listened. The mother who kept her baby safe no matter what. James seemed like a wonderful father at first. He would hold Emma for hours when she was a baby. He changed diapers without complaining. He got up for late-night feedings and walked her around the house when she could not sleep. Everyone in our family said we were blessed. They said Emma was so lucky to have such a caring dad. But looking back now, I can see the tiny cracks that were always there. I just did not know what I was looking at. Emma was always a sensitive child. She cried easily. She got scared of small things like thunder or the dark corners of her bedroom. She needed extra hugs and extra reassurance. Some kids are just built that way, you know? Their hearts feel everything a little bit deeper. I never saw it as a problem. I saw it as part of who she was, and I loved every piece of her. James, though, started getting frustrated with her around the time she turned 4. She needs to toughen up, he would say when Emma cried over a scraped knee. You baby her too much, Sarah. She is going to grow up weak if you keep coddling her like this. I would defend her. She is 4 years old, James. She is supposed to need comfort when she gets hurt. He would shake his head and walk away, muttering under his breath about how I was ruining her. As Emma got older, his frustration seemed to grow. When she was 5 and spilled juice on the carpet, he yelled so loud that she ran to her room sobbing. When she was 6 and forgot to put her toys away, he took them all and locked them in the garage for a week. When she was 7 and brought home a test with 3 wrong answers, he made her sit at the kitchen table for 2 hours redoing practice problems while he stood over her shoulder pointing out every small mistake. I tried to talk to him about it. James, you are being too hard on her. She is just a kid. Kids make mistakes. That is exactly the problem, he would snap back. You let her think mistakes do not matter. I am teaching her responsibility. I am teaching her that actions have consequences. Someone has to, because you certainly are not. Those words stung. They made me doubt myself. Maybe I was too soft. Maybe Emma did need more discipline. James worked in finance. He was smart. He was successful. Maybe he knew something about raising kids that I did not. So I backed off. I let him handle discipline his way. I told myself he loved her. He just had a different parenting style. I told myself Emma would be fine. But then when Emma turned 8, something changed. She started having dark circles under her eyes. She looked exhausted every single morning, like she had not slept at all. At first, I thought maybe she was staying up too late reading or playing in her room. I asked her about it. Emma, are you going to sleep when I tuck you in? She nodded, but her eyes would not meet mine. Yes, Mom, she said. Are you having bad dreams? She hesitated. Then she nodded. Sometimes, Mom. Do you want to tell me about them? No. Her voice was so quiet I could barely hear it. I do not want to talk about it. I hugged her and told her bad dreams were normal, that everyone had them sometimes. I put a night light in her room shaped like a little star. I thought that would help. It did not help. Emma started getting quieter. She stopped running to the door when James came home from work. She used to jump into his arms and tell him about her day, but now she would just give him a small wave and go back to whatever she was doing. She stopped asking him to play with her. She stopped sitting next to him at dinner. I noticed, but I did not understand what it meant. I thought maybe she was just growing up, becoming more independent. Kids go through phases, right? Then she started having trouble at school. Her teacher, Mrs. Patterson, called me one afternoon. Sarah, I am a little worried about Emma. She has always been such a bright, engaged student, but lately she seems distracted. She falls asleep during lessons sometimes. And yesterday, she got very upset over a small mistake on her math worksheet. She started crying and said she was stupid and that everyone would be mad at her. It was concerning. My stomach twisted. I will talk to her. Thank you for letting me know. That night, I sat Emma down on her bed. Mrs. Patterson told me you have been having a hard time at school, baby. What is going on? Emma's bottom lip trembled. I just keep messing up, Mom. I am trying so hard, but I keep making mistakes. Everyone makes mistakes. That is how we learn. She shook her head hard, tears spilling down her cheeks. But I am not supposed to make mistakes. I have to be perfect. If I am not perfect then, she stopped talking suddenly, like she had said too much. Then what, Emma? Nothing. She wiped her eyes. I am just tired. Are you sure that is all? She nodded, but I could see she was lying. I could feel it in my bones. Something was wrong. Something was hurting my little girl, and she was too scared to tell me what it was. I started paying closer attention after that. I watched Emma more carefully. I noticed she barely touched her dinner most nights. I noticed she would flinch sometimes when James raised his voice, even if he was not yelling at her. I noticed she started biting her nails until they bled. And I noticed she looked absolutely terrified every single night when bedtime came around. Time for bed, Emma. I would say gently around 8:30. Her whole body would go stiff. Can I stay up a little longer? Please, Mom. I am not tired yet. You need your sleep. You have school tomorrow. Please, she would beg, and there was something desperate in her voice that I could not understand. Just 10 more minutes. I would give her the extra time, because I felt bad saying no when she seemed so upset. But eventually she had to go to bed. I would tuck her in, kiss her forehead, and tell her I loved her. She would hold on to my hand so tightly, like she was afraid to let go. I love you, Mom, she would whisper. I love you too, baby. Sweet dreams. But there were no sweet dreams in that room. I just did not know it yet. One night, about 3 months ago, I woke up around midnight to use the bathroom. Our bedroom was down the hall from Emma's room. And as I walked past her door, I heard something that made me freeze. Crying. Soft, muffled crying, like Emma was trying to be as quiet as possible. I put my hand on her doorknob, ready to go in and comfort her. But then I heard James's voice. Stop crying. I told you to stop crying. I am sorry, Daddy, Emma sobbed. I am trying. You are not trying hard enough. Do you know how disappointed you are? I stood there in the dark hallway, my heart pounding in my chest. What was James doing in her room in the middle of the night? Why was he making her cry? I should have opened that door right then. I should have burst in and demanded to know what was happening. But I hesitated. I told myself there must be a reasonable explanation. Maybe Emma had woken up from a nightmare, and James heard her crying, so he went to comfort her. Maybe he was just frustrated because he was tired and she woke him up. Maybe I was overreacting. I heard James's footsteps coming toward the door, so I quickly moved away and hurried to the bathroom. When I came back, Emma's door was closed and the house was silent again. The next morning, I asked James about it. I heard you in Emma's room last night. Is everything okay? He barely looked up from his coffee. She had a nightmare. I was calming her down. It sounded like you were upset with her. She would not stop crying, Sarah. It was midnight. I had to be firm so she would go back to sleep. But James, she was scared. And I handled it, he interrupted. I am her father. I know how to take care of my own daughter. The way he said it made me feel small and stupid, like I was making a big deal out of nothing. So I dropped it. But the next week, it happened again. I woke up to use the bathroom, and I heard James's voice in Emma's room. This time I pressed my ear against the door. Hold still, he was saying. If you keep squirming, this is going to take longer. It hurts, Daddy, Emma whimpered. I do not care if it hurts. You brought this on yourself. Every muscle in my body went cold. What was he doing to her? What could possibly hurt? I reached for the door handle, but then I heard him say, that is what you get for not listening. Maybe next time you will remember. His footsteps came toward the door again. I rushed back to our bedroom and climbed into bed, my mind racing. James came in a minute later and got under the covers like nothing had happened. I lay there in the darkness, staring at the ceiling, my heart slamming against my ribs. What was happening to my daughter in the middle of the night? Why was she in pain? Why was she too scared to tell me? I waited until James left for work the next morning. Then I sat Emma down. Baby, I need you to be honest with me. Is Daddy coming into your room at night? Emma's eyes went huge. I am not supposed to tell. My blood turned to ice. What do you mean you are not supposed to tell? Daddy said it is between me and him. He said, if I tell you, you will be disappointed in me. I took her small hands in mine. Emma, listen to me very carefully. You can tell me anything. Anything at all. I will never, ever be disappointed in you. Do you understand? She started crying. I do not want to get in trouble. You are not in trouble. I promise. Just tell me what Daddy does when he comes to your room. She looked down at her lap, tears dripping onto her pajamas. He gets mad at me. Okay, for what? For the mistakes I made that day. He makes a list in his head, and then after you go to sleep, he comes in and tells me all the things I did wrong. My stomach dropped. What else does he do, Emma? She was quiet for a long time. Then, in the smallest voice I have ever heard, she said, he pinches me. The room started spinning. He pinches me really hard on my arms and legs where no one can see. He says it is to help me remember not to make mistakes. Every mistake I make during the day, he gives me a pinch at night. Sometimes 10 pinches. Sometimes more. I felt like I was going to throw up. How long has this been happening? Since I turned 8. 6 months now. Every single night, Mom. He comes in after you are asleep, and he tells me all the ways I messed up, and then he punishes me. He says I deserve it. He says it is the only way I will learn. I pulled her into my arms and held her so tight. She was shaking like a leaf. Why did you not tell me, baby? Why did you keep this a secret? Because Daddy said you would not believe me. He said you would think I was lying to get attention. He said I am not allowed to bother you with it because you are too tired and stressed. He said it is his job to fix me because I am broken. Tears were streaming down my face. You are not broken, Emma. You are perfect exactly the way you are. Then why does Daddy hurt me? I did not have an answer. How could I possibly explain to an 8-year-old child why her own father was sneaking into her room every night to physically and emotionally torture her? How could I explain something I did not understand myself? That morning, after Emma went to school, I sat on the floor of her bedroom and cried until I had no tears left. Then I stood up and started looking around. I found the bruises on the underside of her mattress where she had been pressing her hands during the pinching, trying not to scream. I found a notebook hidden in her desk drawer filled with pages and pages of, "I will not make mistakes," written in her careful handwriting. I found a calendar where she had been marking off the days, and next to some days she had written small numbers. 12 pinches. 8 pinches. 15 pinches. I found proof that my husband had been abusing our daughter for 6 months, and I had been sleeping 20 feet away, completely unaware. The guilt was crushing. How did I not know? How did I not see? What kind of mother was I? But guilt would not help Emma now. I needed to think clearly. I needed to be smart about this. If I confronted James directly, he would deny it. He would say Emma was making it up or exaggerating. He would twist it around and make me seem crazy or overprotective. I had seen him do that before when I questioned his parenting. He was good at making me doubt myself. No, I needed evidence. I needed undeniable proof of what he was doing. And then I needed to make him pay for every single moment of pain he had inflicted on our baby girl. That is when I decided to set up the hidden camera. I ordered the camera online. It was small, about the size of a USB drive, and it looked like a regular phone charger when you plugged it into the wall. The reviews said it had night vision, motion detection, and could record for hours. Perfect. I paid extra for overnight shipping. Every minute that passed felt like torture because I knew Emma would have to endure another night of abuse before I could catch James in the act. But I had to be patient. I had to do this right. The camera arrived the next afternoon. My hands were shaking as I opened the box. I read the instructions 3 times to make sure I understood how to set it up. I downloaded the app on my phone that would let me watch the footage from anywhere. That evening, while James was taking a shower and Emma was doing homework at the kitchen table, I went into Emma's room and plugged the camera into the outlet next to her bookshelf. It was positioned perfectly to capture her entire bed and most of the room. Unless you were specifically looking for it, you would never notice it was there. I sat next to Emma while she worked on her math problems. She was so focused, her little tongue sticking out the side of her mouth the way it always did when she was concentrating. She looked so innocent, so small, so undeserving of everything that had been done to her. "Mom," she said quietly, "is Daddy still going to come tonight?" My throat tightened. I do not know, baby. I am scared. I know. I brushed her hair back from her face. But I am going to make sure you are safe. I promise you, I am going to protect you. She looked up at me with those big brown eyes and asked, "How?" "You will see. Just trust me, okay?" She nodded, but I could see she did not really believe me. Why would she? I had failed to protect her for 6 months. I had let her father hurt her over and over again, while I slept peacefully down the hall. Why should she trust me now? That made my determination even stronger. I was going to fix this. I was going to make this right. Bedtime came. I tucked Emma in like I always did, kissed her forehead, told her I loved her. She held my hand so tight I could feel her pulse racing in her little fingers. "It is going to be okay," I whispered to her. "I promise." Then I went to my bedroom, where James was already in bed reading on his tablet. "Emma get to sleep all right?" he asked without looking up. "Yes," I lied. I climbed into bed and turned off my lamp. I lay there in the darkness, my phone hidden under my pillow, the camera app open and ready. I had turned off all sounds and notifications so James would not hear anything if the camera detected motion. My whole body was tense. I tried to breathe slowly and evenly, pretending to be asleep. Next to me, James kept reading for another 20 minutes. Then he turned off his tablet and settled down under the covers. We lay there in silence. I could hear the clock on the nightstand ticking. I could hear James's breathing gradually slowing down. I could hear my own heartbeat pounding in my ears. And I waited. 30 minutes passed. My eyes had adjusted to the darkness. I kept my breathing slow and steady, my body completely still. James shifted next to me a few times. I felt him turn his head toward me, probably checking if I was asleep. Then, 45 minutes after he had turned off his tablet, I felt him slowly slide out of bed. He moved so carefully, so quietly. He stood there for a moment, and I knew he was looking at me, making sure I was not going to wake up. I kept my eyes closed and my breathing even. Then I heard his footsteps, soft on the carpet, walking toward the door. I heard him open it slowly. I heard him step into the hallway and close the door behind him with barely a sound. The moment he was gone, I grabbed my phone from under my pillow. My hands were shaking so badly I almost dropped it. I opened the camera app. The screen showed Emma's room in night vision. Everything was in shades of green and black. Emma was in her bed, her covers pulled up to her chin, and the door was opening. James stepped into the room and closed the door behind him. He stood there for a moment looking at Emma. Then he walked over to her bed. "Emma," he said quietly, "wake up." On the screen, I saw Emma's eyes open. Even in night vision, I could see the fear on her face. "Hi, Daddy," she whispered. "Sit up," he said. She slowly pushed herself up into a sitting position, her back against the headboard. James sat down on the edge of her bed. "You had quite a day today, did you not?" "I tried to be good," Emma said, and her voice was already shaking. "Did you? Let me think about the mistakes you made." He held up his hand and started counting on his fingers. "You spilled milk at breakfast. You forgot to put your shoes away when you came home from school. You left your backpack on the floor instead of hanging it up. You got 2 problems wrong on your homework. And at dinner, you used your fork before I started eating. That is very rude, Emma. How many times have I told you we wait for everyone to be served before we start?" "I am sorry," Emma whimpered. "I forgot." "You always forget. That is the problem. You do not think. You do not try hard enough." His voice was cold and harsh. That is 5 mistakes today. Do you know what that means? Emma nodded, tears streaming down her face. Please, Daddy. I will do better tomorrow. I promise. You promise every night, but you keep disappointing me. He reached out and grabbed her arm, pulling up the sleeve of her pajama top. 5 mistakes. 5 pinches. Stay still. Daddy, please. Stay still or I will add more. I watched the screen in horror as James pinched the soft skin on the inside of Emma's arm. She bit her lip, trying not to cry out. He did it again. And again. And again. And again. 5 times he deliberately hurt my daughter. 5 times, she bit back and screamed. 5 times, I watched her small body jerk with pain. When he was done, he let go of her arm and stood up. Maybe tomorrow you will remember to think before you act. Yes, Daddy. Emma sobbed quietly. Stop crying. You brought this on yourself. I am sorry. Go back to sleep. And Emma? Yes, she answers. You know this is our secret. If you tell your mother, she will know what a bad daughter you are. She will be so disappointed. Do you want to disappoint her? No, Avi. Good. Then keep your mouth shut. He walked to the door, opened it, and stepped back into the hallway. I shoved my phone back under my pillow and closed my eyes just as the bedroom door opened. I heard James come in, heard him climb back into bed. I felt him settle in next to me like he had not just terrorized our 8-year-old child. I lay there in the darkness, every muscle in my body screaming. I wanted to leap out of bed and attack him. I wanted to scream. I wanted to grab Emma and run as far away from this monster as possible. But I did not move. I kept my breathing slow and steady. I pretended to be asleep. Because I had the evidence now. I had him on video. And I was going to use it to destroy him completely. The next morning, I could barely look at James across the breakfast table. He ate his eggs and toast like nothing had happened. He kissed my cheek before he left for work. Have a good day, he said. I could not answer. I just nodded. As soon as his car pulled out of the driveway, I went to Emma. She was still in her pajamas, getting ready for school. I gently took her arm and rolled up her sleeve. 5 dark purple bruises marked her skin in the exact places I had watched James pinch her last night. Oh baby, I whispered. Emma pulled her arm away and rolled her sleeve back down. Do not look at them, Mom. They make you sad. I am not sad, sweetheart. I am angry. But not at you. Are you angry at Daddy? Yes. Very angry. Are you going to make him stop? I took her face in my hands and looked into her eyes. Yes, Emma. I am going to make him stop. And I am going to make sure he never hurts you again. How, Mom? I cannot tell you yet. But I need you to trust me. Can you do that? She nodded slowly. Okay, Mom. I helped her get dressed in a long-sleeved shirt that would hide the bruises. I made her breakfast and packed her lunch. I walked her to the bus stop and hugged her so tight she squeaked. I love you more than anything in this world, I told her. I love you too, Mom. I watched the bus drive away. Then I went back inside and sat down at the kitchen table with my phone. I needed a plan. I had video evidence of James abusing Emma, but what should I do with it? My first instinct was to call the police immediately, but I hesitated. Would they actually do anything? James had not hit her with a closed fist. He had not left marks anywhere visible. Some people might even say he was just disciplining his child, and as horrible as that thought was, I knew there were people who would defend him. I needed to make sure this evidence could not be dismissed or explained away. I needed to build a case that was so strong, no one could deny what was happening. So I made a decision. I was going to let him do it again. I was going to record him multiple times, building a pattern that proved this was not a one-time incident. It was systematic abuse. My stomach turned at the thought of letting Emma go through even one more night of pain, but I told myself it was necessary. A few more nights of suffering in exchange for making sure James faced real consequences. It was worth it. That night the same thing happened. James waited until he thought I was asleep, then he crept into Emma's room. This time, she had made 4 mistakes by his twisted standards. 4 pinches on her other arm. I recorded every second. The 3rd night, he pinched her legs because both arms were already too bruised. 7 pinches that night, because she had accidentally interrupted him while he was on a phone call. I recorded it all. The 4th night, Emma begged him to stop. She said the bruises hurt too much. He told her she should have thought about that before being such a careless, stupid child. Then he pinched her 8 times. I recorded it through tears streaming down my face. By the 5th night, I had enough evidence. But I was not ready to act yet, because I realized something important. Getting James arrested was not enough. I wanted him to lose everything. His job, his reputation, his freedom, his dignity. I wanted him to feel a fraction of the pain Emma had felt. And I knew exactly how to make that happen. I spent the next week planning every single detail of my revenge. I could not afford to make any mistakes. James had hurt Emma for 6 months, and I was going to make sure his punishment was permanent and devastating. First, I needed to understand exactly what I was dealing with. I started going through James's computer when he was at work. I knew his password because he had used the same one for years. He thought he was so smart, but he was lazy about things like that. I found more than I expected. There were folders full of articles about tough love parenting and building resilience in weak children. He had bookmarked forums where parents talked about using physical punishment to correct behavior. He had even kept a journal where he documented Emma's mistakes and the corrections he had given her. Reading that journal made me physically sick. He had written things like, "Emma cried for 10 minutes tonight after her correction. I need to work on building her pain tolerance. Weak children become weak adults." And, "Sarah is too soft on Emma. She undermines my authority. Need to do corrections when Sarah is asleep, so she does not interfere." He knew exactly what he was doing. This was not a parent losing his temper. This was calculated, deliberate abuse that he had planned and executed systematically. I copied everything onto a USB drive. Every article. Every forum post. Every page of his journal. Then I went deeper. I checked his browsing history. I looked at his email. I searched through every file on his computer. And I found something that made my blood run cold. He had been researching how to hide bruises, how to inflict pain without leaving visible marks, how to psychologically manipulate children into keeping secrets. This man was not just abusing our daughter. He was studying how to do it better. I sat there staring at the screen, my whole body numb. Who was this person? How had I lived with him for 10 years and never known he was capable of this? But I could not fall apart. I had work to do. I made copies of everything and stored them in 3 different places. A USB drive hidden in my car, a cloud storage account James did not know about, and a folder emailed to myself with a coded subject line. If something happened to one copy, I would still have the others. Next, I started documenting everything in Emma's daily life. I took photos of every bruise on her body, making sure to include dates and timestamps. I wrote down everything she told me about what James said to her. I recorded her having nightmares. I filmed her flinching when she heard James's voice or his footsteps. I also started taking Emma to our family doctor, Dr. Richardson, for checkups. During the appointments, I would casually mention that Emma seemed anxious lately, that she was having trouble sleeping, that she seemed scared of something but would not tell me what. Dr. Richardson examined Emma and found the bruises. "Sarah, where did these come from?" she asked gently. Before I could answer, Emma spoke up in a tiny voice. "I bruise easily." Dr. Richardson looked at me with concern in her eyes. I knew what she was thinking, but I was not ready to reveal everything yet. "She bruises easily," I said. "She has always been like that. But I have been worried about her emotional state lately. Do you think we should see a counselor?" Dr. Richardson agreed that counseling might help, and she gave me a referral. She also documented the bruises in Emma's medical file, with notes about their locations and patterns. Perfect. More evidence for my case. I made an appointment with the counselor, a kind woman named Dr. Lisa Chun. Over 3 sessions, Emma slowly opened up about the nighttime visits from her daddy. Dr. Chun never pushed, she just listened and took careful notes. At the end of the 3rd session, she pulled me aside. "Sarah, I am legally required to report suspected child abuse. Based on what Emma has told me and the physical evidence, I believe your husband is harming your daughter." "I know," I said quietly. "I have been gathering evidence. I just needed professionals to document what is happening before I take action. Can you give me 1 more week?" Dr. Chen looked troubled. "I really should report this immediately." "Please," I begged. 1 more week. I need to make sure when I do this, he cannot talk his way out of it. You know how these cases go. If there is not enough evidence, he will get a slap on the wrist and come home even angrier. I need to protect Emma permanently." She hesitated, then finally nodded. 1 week. "But Sarah, if anything escalates, you call the police immediately." "I will. I promise." With the doctor and counselor documentation in place, I moved to the next phase of my plan, destroying James's professional life. James worked for a prestigious financial firm downtown. His reputation, there was everything to him. He was always talking about climbing the corporate ladder, making partners, and being respected by his colleagues. He spent more time thinking about his career than he ever spent thinking about his family. I knew his boss, Martin, casually from company events. Martin had 3 daughters of his own. He was the kind of man who talked constantly about how important family was, how much he loved his girls, how he would do anything to protect them. Perfect. I also knew that James's company had very strict policies about employee conduct, especially anything that could bring negative publicity to the firm. They had fired someone the previous year just for getting a DUI because it reflected poorly on the company's values. If James was exposed as a child abuser, there was no way they would keep him employed. I created an anonymous email account and drafted a message to Martin. I did not send it yet. I was waiting for the right moment, but I had it ready. The email included several of the videos of James abusing Emma, along with excerpts from his journal and screenshots of his research into hiding abuse. The subject line read, "You need to know what kind of man works for you." I also prepared similar emails for several of James's colleagues, the company's HR department, and even some of the firm's biggest clients. When the time came, I would send them all at once. By the time James walked into his office the next morning, everyone would know what he really was. But I was not done yet. I wanted the whole world to know. I wanted everyone who had ever respected James, everyone who had ever thought he was a good father, everyone who had ever smiled at him and shaken his hand, to see the truth. So I started planning something bigger. While I was putting all these pieces in place, I still had to live in the same house as James and pretend everything was normal. It was the hardest acting job of my life. Every morning, I made him breakfast. Every evening, I asked him about his day. Every night, I climbed into bed next to him and pretended to fall asleep. And every night, I watched on my phone as he crept into Emma's room and hurt her. Each time I watched, the rage inside me grew stronger. It was like a living thing burning in my chest, getting hotter and brighter with every pinch, every cruel word, every sob Emma tried to muffle. I kept count. By the end of the second week, James had given Emma 93 pinches total. 93 times he had deliberately caused her pain. 93 times I had let it happen because I was building my case. The guilt was crushing, but I pushed it down. This would all be over soon. Emma would be free, and James would pay for everything. During these days, I tried to give Emma as much love and happiness as possible. I took her to the park. I let her pick out a new toy at the store. I made her favorite meals. I held her while she cried and promised her that this nightmare was almost over. "When, Mom?" she asked me one afternoon. We were sitting in her room, and she was showing me a drawing she had made, a picture of the two of us holding hands under a rainbow. "When will Daddy stop hurting me?" "Very soon, baby. Just a few more days." "I am trying so hard to be perfect," she whispered. "I am trying not to make mistakes, but I always mess up somehow. I am not good enough." My heart shattered. Emma listened to me. "You are perfect. You are smart, kind, and beautiful. The mistakes you make are normal. Every single person in the world makes mistakes. That is part of being human." "But Daddy says." "Daddy is wrong." I took her small face in my hands. "What Daddy is doing is wrong. It is not your fault. It has never been your fault. Do you understand me?" She nodded, but I could see she did not really believe it. James had been poisoning her mind for 6 months, telling her she was broken, she was disappointing, she was bad. It would take a long time to undo that damage. But we would have time. Once James was gone, we would have all the time in the world to heal. 2.5 weeks after I set up the camera, I decided it was time to act. I had everything I needed. Videos, documentation from professionals, copies of James's own research and journal, photographs of bruises, witness statements from Emma's teacher about her behavioral changes. The case was airtight. There was no way James could explain this away. I chose a Friday to set my plan in motion. James had a big presentation at work that morning. He had been preparing for it all week, talking about how it could make or break his chance at a promotion. He was anxious and excited, his mind completely focused on his career. He had no idea his whole life was about to implode. That morning, I got up early and made James his favorite breakfast, scrambled eggs with cheese, bacon, toast with butter and jam, and fresh coffee. He smiled at me from across the table. "You are in a good mood today." I smiled back. "I just have a good feeling about today." "Yeah? Me too. This presentation is going to go perfectly. Martin is going to be so impressed." "I am sure you will do great," I said, and I meant it. I wanted him to walk into that office feeling confident and successful. It would make his fall so much harder. After James left for work and Emma got on the school bus, I began executing my plan. First, I called the police non-emergency line, and asked to speak to someone about reporting child abuse. They connected me to Detective Sarah Morrison from the Family Crimes Unit. Hello, Mrs. My name is Sarah Williams. I need to report that my husband has been physically and emotionally abusing our 8-year-old daughter for the past 6 months. There was a pause. Can you tell me more about what has been happening? I spent 45 minutes on the phone with Detective Morrison, explaining everything. The nightly visits, the pinching, the psychological manipulation, Emma's declining mental health. I told her about the hidden camera footage, the medical documentation, the counselor's notes, everything. Mrs. Williams, I need you to send me everything you have. Can you do that? Yes. I have it all organized and ready. Good. I am going to start a case file immediately. Can you bring your daughter to the station this afternoon for a forensic interview? Yes. I will pick her up from school early. And Mrs. Williams? I want you to know you did the right thing by gathering this evidence. Too many abuse cases fall apart because there is not enough proof. What you have done will help us protect your daughter. Those words should have made me feel better, but they did not. Because Emma should never have needed protection from her own father in the first place. After I hung up with Detective Morrison, I sent her all the evidence through a secure file transfer. Then I moved to phase 2. I logged into the anonymous email account and sent the messages to James's boss, his colleagues, HR, and the company's biggest clients. In each email, I included a selection of the videos showing James abusing Emma, along with a detailed explanation of what was happening and how long it had been going on. I wrote, James Williams presents himself as a respectable professional, but this is who he really is. This is what he does to his 8-year-old daughter every single night. I thought you should know what kind of man represents your company. Then I clicked send on all of them. There was no going back now. I picked Emma up from school at noon, telling the office she had a doctor's appointment. She climbed into the car with her backpack, looking tired and scared like she did every day now. Mom, why are you picking me up early? We need to go talk to some people, sweetheart. People who are going to help us. Help us with what? Help us make sure Daddy never hurts you again. Her eyes went wide. Are you really doing it? Are you really making him stop? Yes, baby. Today is the day. She started crying, but this time they were different tears. Tears of relief. He is not going to come to my room anymore. Never again. I promise. She threw her arms around me from the back seat, hugging me as tight as she could. Thank you, Mom. Thank you. Thank you, thank you. I held her and let her cry, my own tears streaming down my face. I am so sorry it took me this long, Emma. I am so sorry I did not protect you sooner. You are protecting me now, she said. That is what matters. We drove to the police station. Detective Morrison met us in the lobby. She was a woman in her 40s with kind eyes and a gentle voice. She shook my hand and then knelt down to Emma's level. Emma. My name is Detective Morrison. You can call me Sarah if you want. I know this is scary, but I want you to know you are very brave for coming here today. Emma nodded shyly. I am going to ask you some questions about things that have been happening at home. There are no wrong answers, okay? Just tell me the truth, and take your time. The forensic interview took 2 hours. I was not allowed in the room, so I sat in the waiting area, my leg bouncing nervously, checking my phone every 30 seconds. At 1:15, my phone buzzed with an email notification. It was from an address I did not recognize. I opened it. Sarah, this is Martin Hendricks from James's firm. I just received some very disturbing information about your husband. I need you to know that we have placed him on immediate suspension pending investigation. I also want to assure you that our company does not tolerate this kind of behavior under any circumstances. If these allegations are proven true, James will be terminated, and we will fully cooperate with law enforcement. I am a father myself, and what I saw in those videos made me sick. Please let me know if there is anything I can do to help your daughter. I felt a rush of satisfaction. It was working. Everything was working exactly as I had planned. Over the next hour, my phone kept buzzing. More emails from people at James's company, expressing shock and disgust. Some of his colleagues wrote to say they always thought James was too harsh, too controlling, but they never imagined it was this bad. One person wrote that they were ashamed they had not said something sooner. Then at 2:30 my phone rang. It was James. My hand shook as I answered. Hello. What the hell did you do? His voice was shaking with rage. What the hell did you do, Sarah? I protected our daughter. You sent videos to my boss? To my colleagues? You are trying to destroy my career. No, James. You destroyed your career when you decided to abuse Emma. I was disciplining her. I was teaching her to be better. You were torturing her. Every single night. For 6 months. You recorded me? You spied on me in my own house. It is Emma's house too. And you violated her in the worst possible way. Yes, I recorded you. And now everyone knows what you really are. He was breathing hard. You cannot do this. I will fight this. I will prove you are lying. I am not lying, James. I have videos. I have documentation from doctors and counselors. I have your own journal where you wrote about how you were hurting her. There is no fighting this. You lost. There was a long silence. Then his voice came back, quieter but somehow more dangerous. Where is Emma? Somewhere you will never hurt her again. Sarah, I swear to God. Do not threaten me. The police already have everything. Detective Morrison from Family Crimes is handling the case. If you are smart, you will get a lawyer and cooperate. I want to see my daughter. No. You cannot keep me from my own child. Watch me. I hung up. My hands were shaking so badly I almost dropped the phone. This was really happening. I had really done it. 20 minutes later, Detective Morrison came out with Emma. Emma's eyes were red from crying, but she looked lighter somehow, like a weight had been lifted off her shoulders. How did it go? I asked Detective Morrison. Emma was very brave. She told us everything. Combined with your video evidence and the documentation from her doctor and counselor, we have more than enough to move forward. She paused. Mrs. Williams, I need to tell you that we are issuing an arrest warrant for your husband. Officers are being dispatched to his workplace now. My breath caught. You are arresting him? Today? Yes. Based on the evidence and Emma's statement, we believe there is probable cause. He will be charged with multiple counts of child abuse and child endangerment. I felt tears prick my eyes. Thank you. Thank you so much. Detective Morrison put a hand on my shoulder. You did the hard part. You gathered the evidence and got your daughter to safety. Now let us handle the rest. Emma and I drove home in silence. She held my hand the whole way, her little fingers gripping tight like she was afraid to let go. When we pulled into the driveway, she said, Mom, is Daddy going to jail? Yes, baby. For a long time. Good. Her voice was fierce. He deserves it. She was right. He did deserve it. But I was not finished with him yet. The news about James's arrest spread like wildfire. By that evening, it was all over social media. Someone from his office had leaked the story to a local news station. And suddenly reporters were calling my phone non-stop. I did not answer. I just sat with Emma on the couch, holding her close, waiting. At 7 o'clock, James's mother called. "Sarah, what is going on?" "The police arrested James at his office today. They are saying he hurt Emma." "That cannot be true. Tell me it is not true." "It is true, Margaret. James has been abusing Emma for 6 months." "No, my son would never do that. I have video evidence. Hours of footage showing him pinching her, berating her, making her cry. It is all on video." There was a long silence. Then Margaret said in a shaky voice, "Why would he do that?" "I do not know. Maybe you should ask him." "Can I see Emma? I need to see my granddaughter." "Not right now. Emma has been through enough. She does not need to deal with anyone questioning whether she is telling the truth." "I am not questioning." "That is exactly what you are doing, Margaret. You called to tell me my daughter must be lying. But she is not. And if you cannot accept that, then you cannot be part of her life right now." I hung up before she could respond. More calls came throughout the evening. James's brother, his friends, even some of my own relatives who could not believe nice guy James would do something like this. I did not care what they thought. I had the truth on my side, and that was all that mattered. That night, for the first time in 6 months, Emma slept in her own bed without fear. I sat in a chair next to her, watching her sleep peacefully. No nightmares. No flinching. No terror in her eyes. Around midnight, she woke up briefly and looked at me. "Mom, you are still here." "I am right here, baby. I am not going anywhere." "Is Daddy coming tonight?" "No, sweetheart. Daddy is not coming tonight." She smiled, the first real smile I had seen from her in months, and closed her eyes. Within seconds, she was asleep again. I sat there all night, guarding her, making sure she felt safe. It was the least I could do after failing her for so long. The next morning, Saturday, my phone rang at 8 a.m. It was Detective Morrison. "Mrs. Williams, I wanted to update you on the case. James was arraigned yesterday evening. He pleaded not guilty, but the judge agreed that he posed a danger and set bail at $100,000. Will he be able to post bail? I do not know. That depends on whether he has access to that kind of money." My stomach twisted. The thought of James getting out, coming home, having any contact with Emma, it made me feel sick. "Detective Morrison, what can I do to make sure he stays away from us?" "You can file for an emergency protective order. I can help you with the paperwork. The order would prohibit James from coming within 500 feet of you or Emma, and from contacting you in any way." "Yes. Please. I want to do that." We spent an hour on the phone while she walked me through the process. By noon, I had filed for the protective order, and a judge approved it immediately. James would not be able to come near us. If he tried, he would be arrested again. Over the next few days, I watched James's life fall apart piece by piece. His company issued a public statement saying they had terminated his employment effective immediately. They emphasized that they had zero tolerance for employee misconduct, and that James's actions did not reflect the company's values. Several of his colleagues posted on social media about how disgusted they were, how they had trusted him, how they felt betrayed. James's professional reputation was destroyed completely. His arrest made the local news. The story ran with the headline, "Finance Professional Arrested for Child Abuse." They did not use Emma's name because she was a minor, but they included James's full name, his photo, and details about the charges against him. I sat on the couch with my laptop, reading every article, every comment, every post. I watched his world burn with cold satisfaction. People from our neighborhood saw the news. Some of them left supportive notes on our doorstep, flowers, cards, offers to help with anything we needed. But others stopped talking to me at the grocery store or the park. I could feel them staring, whispering. I did not care. Let them talk. My daughter was safe. That was all that mattered. James's mother called again. This time her voice was different. Softer. Broken. "Sarah, I watched the videos. The police showed me the videos." I did not say anything. I cannot believe. I raised him. I thought I raised him to be a good man. How did I not see this? I lived with him for 10 years and I did not see it either, I said quietly. How is Emma? She is scared. She is traumatized. But she is safe now. And she is starting to heal. Can I help somehow? Please. She is my granddaughter. I love her. I thought about it. Give us some time, Margaret. Let Emma process everything. When she is ready, if she wants to see you, I will let you know. Thank you. And Sarah. Yes. Thank you for protecting her. I am sorry I did not believe you at first. I am sorry for everything. It was not much, but it was something. 2 weeks after James's arrest, I got a call from his lawyer. Mrs. Williams, my name is David Chun. I am representing James in his criminal case. I would like to discuss the possibility of a plea agreement. A plea agreement? Yes. James is willing to plead guilty to the charges in exchange for a reduced sentence. He wants to avoid a trial. I laughed. Actually, I laughed. Of course he does. He does not want all those videos played in open court. He does not want the whole world to hear Emma testify about what he did to her. Mrs. Williams, I understand you are angry. I am furious. Your client tortured my daughter for 6 months. He hurt her. He terrorized her. He made her believe she was worthless. And now he wants a deal. A trial would be very difficult for Emma. Having to testify, having to relive everything. Do not you dare use my daughter as leverage. You do not care about Emma. You just want to protect your client. I am trying to find a resolution that works for everyone. There is only one resolution I will accept. James pleads guilty to every single charge. No reduced sentence. No deals. He takes full responsibility for what he did, and he goes to prison for as long as the law allows. That is a very long sentence, Mrs. Williams. We are talking about potentially 15 to 20 years. Good. That is 15 to 20 years he will not be hurting anyone else. David Chun sighed. I will convey your position to my client. You do that. And you can also tell him that if he tries to contact Emma in any way, if he tries to send her letters or messages through other people, I will make sure every single person in this country sees those videos of him abusing her. I will put them on every social media platform, every news station, every website I can find. His face will be everywhere, and everyone will know exactly what kind of monster he is. Mrs. Williams, that could be considered harassment. Then he better not give me a reason to do it. I hung up. My hands were shaking, but I felt powerful. For 6 months, James had all the power. He controlled Emma through fear and pain. He controlled me by making me doubt myself, by hiding what he was doing. But now I had the power, and I was not going to let him take it back. 3 days later, David Chin called again. Mrs. Williams, James has agreed to your terms. He will plead guilty to all charges without a plea bargain. I felt something loosen in my chest. Really? Yes. The prosecution is recommending a sentence of 18 years. With good behavior, he might be out at 12 or 13, but that is still a significant amount of time. 12 to 18 years. Emma would be in her 20s when James got out. She would be an adult. She would be strong enough to protect herself. When is the sentencing hearing? In 3 weeks. You and Emma are welcome to attend if you want to give victim impact statements. We will be there. The day of the sentencing hearing arrived. I dressed Emma in her favorite purple dress and braided her hair. She looked so small and fragile, but there was a determination in her eyes that had not been there before. Are you sure you want to do this? I asked her as we drove to the courthouse. You do not have to speak if you do not want to. I want to, she said firmly. I want to tell the judge what Daddy did. I want him to know how much he hurt me. My brave girl. The courtroom was cold and formal. James was already there, sitting at the defense table in an orange jumpsuit, his hands cuffed in front of him. He looked thinner, tired, and older. When we walked in, he turned to look at us. Emma grabbed my hand and squeezed tight, but she did not look away. She stared right back at him. James's eyes filled with tears. He opened his mouth like he wanted to say something, but his lawyer put a hand on his arm to stop him. Good. He had nothing to say that I wanted to hear. The judge, an older woman with gray hair and sharp eyes, called the hearing to order. The prosecutor presented the case outlining each charge, each incident, each piece of evidence. Then it was time for victim impact statements. I stood up first. My whole body was shaking, but my voice came out steady and clear. Your Honor, my name is Sarah Williams, and I am here to tell you about the impact my husband's crimes have had on our daughter Emma. I talked for 10 minutes. I described Emma's nightmares, her anxiety, the way she flinched at loud noises and sudden movements. I talked about how she had stopped laughing, stopped playing, stopped being a child because she was so focused on trying to be perfect so her father would not hurt her. I talked about the 93 times James had pinched her, how I had counted each one, how each pinch left a bruise on her skin and a scar on her soul. My daughter is 8 years old, I said, looking directly at James. She should be worrying about homework and friends, and what game to play at recess. Instead, she worries about making mistakes. She worries that she is not good enough. She worries that people will hurt her if she is not perfect. That is what her father did to her. That is the legacy he left behind. When I sat down, Emma stood up. She was so small that she could barely see over the witness stand. The judge offered to let her sit, but Emma shook her head. She wanted to stand. My name is Emma Williams, she said in a quiet but clear voice. My daddy hurt me every night for 6 months. The courtroom was completely silent. He told me I was bad. He told me I made too many mistakes. He told me I was disappointing and stupid and careless. And then he would pinch me really hard to help me remember to be better. Her voice started to shake, but she kept going. I tried so hard to be perfect. I tried not to spill things or forget things or mess up. But I always did something wrong. And every night, I would lay in my bed waiting for him to come and hurt me. I was so scared all the time. She looked at James, and I saw something change in her eyes. She was not scared anymore. She was angry. You were supposed to protect me, Daddy. You were supposed to love me. But instead you hurt me. You made me feel like I was nothing. And that was wrong. What you did was wrong. She turned back to the judge. I do not want my daddy to hurt any other kids. I do not want him to make anyone else feel the way he made me feel. Please do not let him out for a long, long time. Then she climbed down from the witness stand and walked back to me. I wrapped my arms around her and held her while she cried. The judge took off her glasses and wiped her eyes. She was even crying. Thank you, Emma, she said softly. You are incredibly brave. Then the judge turned to James. Her voice became hard and cold. Mr. Williams, I have been a judge for 23 years. I have seen many terrible things in this courtroom. But what you did to your daughter is one of the most disturbing cases I have ever encountered. James stared at the floor. You systematically abused a helpless child for 6 months. You used your position as her father to manipulate her into silence. You caused her physical pain and emotional trauma that she will carry with her for the rest of her life. And according to your own journal, you knew exactly what you were doing. You planned it. You studied it. You took pleasure in it. The judge put her glasses back on. The prosecution has recommended 18 years. I am going to give you 25. James's head snapped up. Your Honor, please. Do not speak, the judge said sharply. You have lost the right to speak. Emma Williams was 8 years old. She was innocent. She was vulnerable. And you destroyed her sense of safety and self-worth because you believed you had the right to hurt her. You did not. And you will spend the next 25 years thinking about that. She slammed her gavel down. This court is adjourned. Emma and I walked out of the courthouse into the bright sunshine. 25 years. James would not get out until Emma was 33 years old. By then, she would have lived more of her life without him than with him. Is it over, Mom? Emma asked. Yes, baby. It is over. She took a deep breath, and for the first time in months she smiled. Can we get ice cream? I laughed through my tears. We can get as much ice cream as you want. We drove to her favorite ice cream shop and ordered huge sundaes with extra sprinkles and whipped cream. We sat at a little table outside, eating our ice cream in comfortable silence. Mom, Emma said after a while, do you think I will ever stop being scared? I think so, sweetheart. It will take time. But every day, you will get a little bit stronger. And I promise I will always be here to help you. Will you teach me how to be brave like you? My throat tightened. Baby, you are already brave. You are the bravest person I know. She reached across the table and took my hand. We are going to be okay, right? Yes, Emma. We are going to be okay. And for the first time in a very long time, I actually believed it. That was 6 months ago. Emma is 9 now. She is in therapy twice a week with Dr. Chin, and slowly, she is healing. She still has nightmares sometimes. She still gets anxious when she makes mistakes. But she is laughing again. She is playing again. She is being a kid again. We moved to a new house in a different neighborhood where nobody knows our story. Emma has new friends who have never heard of James Williams or what he did. She is just Emma to them, a funny, creative, kind little girl who loves art class and hates broccoli. I am healing too. I do not blame myself anymore for not seeing what was happening sooner. I did the best I could with the information I had. And when I finally understood what was going on, I took action. I protected my daughter. I got justice for her. James is in prison. I heard through his lawyer that he tried to appeal his sentence, but it was denied. He will serve every single day of those 25 years. Sometimes people ask me if I think 25 years is too harsh. They say everyone deserves a second chance. They say I should forgive him for Emma's sake. But I do not agree. James made a choice every single night for 6 months to hurt our daughter. That was not one mistake. That was 180 choices to cause pain. And Emma will live with the consequences of those choices for the rest of her life. So no, I do not think his punishment is too harsh. I think it is exactly what he deserves. As for Emma and me, we are building a new life together. A life filled with safety and love and healing. A life where mistakes are learning opportunities, not reasons for punishment. A life where Emma can be herself without fear. Last week, Emma came home from school with a math test. She got 2 problems wrong. She held the paper in her shaking hands and looked up at me with tears in her eyes. "I messed up, Mom," she whispered. I knelt down and took the paper from her. "Emma, look at me. You got 18 problems right out of 20. That is 90%. That is amazing." "But I made mistakes." "Yes, you did. And that is completely okay. Making mistakes does not make you bad or stupid or disappointing. It makes you human. Every single person on this planet makes mistakes every single day. Even you." "Yes. I make mistakes all the time." She thought about that for a moment. "What do you do when you make mistakes?" "I learn from them. I will try to do better next time. But I do not punish myself for being imperfect. And neither should you." She looked at her test again. "So you are not mad at me?" "Not even a little bit. I am proud of you for working hard and doing your best." She hugged me so tight. "I love you, Mom." "I love you too, baby girl." That night, Emma slept peacefully in her bed. No nightmares. No fear. No one sneaks into her room to hurt her. And I slept peacefully too, knowing that I had done what every mother should do. I protected my child at all costs. People sometimes ask me if I feel guilty for letting James hurt Emma for those extra weeks while I gathered evidence. They ask if I should have acted sooner, if I should have just called the police the first night I caught him. The truth is, yes, part of me will always carry that guilt. Those extra pinches, those extra nights of fear. Emma should never have had to endure them. But I also know that if I had acted immediately, without proper evidence, James might have talked his way out of it. He might have convinced people that Emma was lying or exaggerating. He might have gotten away with a warning or a slap on the wrist, and then he would have come home even angrier, even more dangerous. By waiting, by building an ironclad case, I made sure he could not escape justice. I made sure he would be locked away for long enough that Emma could grow up safely without him. Was it the right choice? I do not know. All I know is that I did what I thought would keep Emma safest in the long run. And now, seeing her smile, hearing her laugh, watching her slowly become the confident, joyful child she was always meant to be, I believe I made the right call. Emma still asks about James sometimes. Not often, but occasionally. "Does Daddy ever think about me?" she asked one night while I was tucking her in. "I do not know, sweetheart. Maybe." "Do you think he is sorry for what he did?" I chose my words carefully. I think he probably understands now that what he did was wrong. But I do not know if he truly feels sorry. "Do you think he loved me?" That question broke my heart. I think he loved the idea of you. But love means wanting what is best for someone, even when it is hard. Love means protecting someone, not hurting them. What your father did was not love. She nodded slowly. "I do not think I love him anymore." "That is okay, Emma. You are allowed to feel however you feel." "But I love you, Mom." I love you too, baby. Forever and always. She rolled over and closed her eyes, safe and warm under her covers. I sat there watching her for a while, marveling at how resilient children can be, how they can survive terrible things and still find ways to smile, to hope, to trust again. Emma is stronger than James ever gave her credit for. She is stronger than even I knew. And together, we are going to be just fine. As for me, I learned some important lessons through all of this. I learned that you can live with someone for years and never really know them. I learned that evil does not always look like a monster. Sometimes it looks like a regular person with a warm smile and a respectable job. I learned that a mother's intuition is real and powerful. I knew something was wrong with Emma long before I understood what it was. I should have trusted that instinct sooner. I learned that gathering evidence is important, but so is taking action. There is a balance between being thorough and being timely, and finding that balance is one of the hardest things I have ever done. Most importantly, I learned that I am stronger than I ever thought possible. I went up against someone who tried to manipulate me, who tried to make me doubt myself, who tried to hide his cruelty behind closed doors. And I won. I protected my daughter. I got her justice. I made sure her abuser paid for what he did. That is not revenge. That is love. 6 months after the sentencing, I received a letter in the mail. It was from James, sent from the prison. I almost threw it away without opening it, but curiosity got the better of me. I sat down at the kitchen table after Emma was asleep and carefully opened the envelope. Inside was a handwritten letter. His handwriting was messy, like he had been shaking while he wrote it. Sarah, I know you probably do not want to hear from me. I know I have no right to ask for anything from you. But I need you to know something. I am sorry. I am sorry for what I did to Emma. I am sorry for hurting her. I am sorry for making her afraid. I am sorry for being the kind of father who caused pain instead of providing comfort. I do not expect you to forgive me. I do not expect Emma to forgive me. I do not even forgive myself. Every day I sit in this cell and think about what I did. I see Emma's face. I hear her crying. I remember how small she looked, how terrified she was, and I hate myself for it. I was not trying to hurt her. I thought I was helping her. I thought I was making her stronger, tougher, more prepared for the world. My own father was hard on me, and I turned out fine, so I thought that was how you raise children. I thought discipline meant being harsh. I thought mistakes needed punishment. I was wrong. I was so wrong. Emma did not need to be tougher. She needed to be loved. She needed to feel safe. She needed a father who protected her, not one who hurt her. I destroyed that. I destroyed her trust. I destroyed her childhood. And I destroyed our family. I know I deserve to be here. I know 25 years is not too much. If anything, it is not enough for what I did. I just need you to tell Emma something for me, if you think it would help her. Tell her that none of it was her fault. Tell her she was never bad or disappointing or broken. Tell her she was perfect exactly as she was, and I was the one who was broken. Tell her I am sorry. James. I read the letter 3 times. Then I folded it up, put it back in the envelope, and filed it away in a drawer. Maybe someday I would show it to Emma. Maybe someday, when she was older and stronger and ready to process her father's apology, it would help her heal. But not now. Right now, she needs to focus on moving forward, not looking back. As for whether James was truly sorry, or just feeling sorry for himself in prison, I did not know, and I did not care. His remorse, if it was real, could not undo the damage he had caused. It could not give Emma back her innocence or her lost childhood. The only thing that mattered was that he could never hurt her again. A year after the trial, Emma and I were at the park. She was on the swings, pumping her legs and laughing as she flew higher and higher. "Mom, look how high I can go," she shouted. "I see you, baby. You are amazing." She jumped off the swing at the peak of its arc and landed in the sand, her arms spread wide. "Did you see that? I was flying." "You were. You are so brave, Emma." She ran over to me, her face flushed and happy. "I am brave, right, Mom? Even though I was scared for a long time, I am brave now." I pulled her into my lap and hugged her tight. "You were always brave, sweetheart. Being scared does not mean you are not brave. Brave means being scared but doing hard things anyway. And you have done so many hard things this year." "Like talking to the judge?" "Like talking to the judge. And going to therapy. And making new friends. And trusting people again, even though someone hurt you. Those are all incredibly brave things." She thought about that for a moment. "Are you brave too, Mom?" "I try to be." "I think you are. You saved me." Tears stung my eyes. "We saved each other, baby." She hugged me tighter. "I am glad we are a team." "Me too, Emma. Me too." We sat there on that park bench for a long time, watching other kids play, feeling the warm sunshine on our faces. And for the first time in over a year, everything felt normal. Not perfect. We still had healing to do, we still had hard days ahead. But normal. Emma was going to be okay. We were going to be okay. And James? James would spend the next 24 years locked in a cell, thinking about what he had done. That was not my problem anymore. My only job now was to love my daughter and help her build a life filled with joy and safety and endless possibilities. And that was exactly what I was going to do. If this story affected you in any way, if you know someone who is going through something similar, or if you believe in protecting children at all costs, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Share this video with someone who needs to hear it. And remember, if you ever suspect a child is being abused, speak up. Report it. Do something. Because somewhere right now, there is another Emma who needs someone to be brave for her. Be that person. Thank you for listening to our story.